to very much welcome Ard Nieuwenbroek to meeting with the Replacement Child Forum. Welcome, Ard.
Thank you. I'm privileged.
You've written a book with Judith Kim and I, which has a rather intriguing title, Elvis Kinderen.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to explain how you got to that genial new term for replacement children?
I will give it a try, because my first commitment with this was, of course, with your forum and the books the three of you have written. And of course, I was impressed by the term replacement children as well. So I won't deny that word, of course not. But then also in my research and also talking about this in my environment and also my practice, I notified what I thought Judy also notified in one of her articles. There is a resistance, ethical resistance, emotional resistance to that term, which actually is good because it's not wrong. And then we think, okay, can we think about another term, not denying the term replacement children, but make it next together to it. And that was then one of my clients told me when I talked. He said, "Did you know about Elvis Presley?" And I was green as a tree. So tell me. And then he started talking about it, and he was very excited about it. And he said, "Oh my God, I think this is an idea. If we can, and we did research, if it is possible to use that term, eh? The publisher did. He did some research. Is it possible to use that name?" And then we decided to use the name Elvis Child. And my publisher said it's a catchy name, because everyone is very curious. What do you mean with that? And I see, and also in the publicity now in the journals, who did it tomorrow, there will be a big page in a journal as well. They are very catchy on the term Elvis, and it declares in 2 sentences what's about, and that's the start. Because we thought that we want to reach as many people as possible, young and old. And that is the main reason that we chose for that term, Elvis, and including the thing that it's because we did also some articles, and then I got a lot of hate mail that I was using the term replacement children, which I actually didn't, but of course I mentioned it a bit. They said, "Oh my God, this is so intensive." And so that's about to say why we find the name Elvis Child.
Elvis Child, and Elvis Child in reference to Elvis Presley, who loses his twin brother at birth.
Yes,
he's still born.
And a lot of people don't know that. You know, in my book, I have a chapter on famous replacement children, and Elvis was included. And I got a lot of mail and calls saying, "Oh, I never knew this."
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's good. You know, it'll really make people delve into it and find out why it's
aware. Because a lot of people do know that Elvis Presley was a successful musician, but also had suffered a lot in his life. And you know, but his grandson passed away not too long ago. Did you know that? Because it was suicide, eh? And then in the Dutch press it was said that one of his sentences and his last minute, well, I wasn't successful in being my grandfather. So my God, this is intergenerational.
Yes, it is. And Judy, you know about that because you wrote the second book called White Flag about the transgenerational repercussion of a replacement child.
Right, it doesn't disappear.
No,
as they're finding, it does continue to visit the next generation and even maybe farther than the next generation.
Yes, yeah, I think it
goes. I find that with the Elvis theme is how it affected his mother, and I think that's really important too, because it's not just Elvis that was affected by his brother, but how his mother became like crazy overprotective protective with him. And I think that's important too, because it sort of follows 2 generations of what happened when there was a child that died in the family.
That's exactly the reason, Rita and Judy and Christina, that we organized, and we published it yesterday, that in January we have organized 2 days, one day, especially for parents of so-called Elvis children. And now already 10 people react on that. So of course, we don't have to forget those parents. In our book, we also put what's so called, I don't know if it's good right English word, an open letter to the parents, which is how you very, very try to get close to them in their unbearable position that they are going to. So it's inclusive. It's out of system thinking, of course. That's why in my practice yesterday, I've got a family of 8 people all together around an Elvis child. It was a grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, and 2 children.
I find that really, really good to address the suffering of the whole system, the family system, and maybe that can take away from that emotional rejection of the term replacement child. It's as if parents had done something wrong. They haven't done something wrong. They suffer, and the Elvis child or replacement child suffers too, and they can talk to each other and recognize each other.
Exactly.
I think one of the biggest things about it is, and this is where we got a lot of flack, that now I say every child born after the death of another is not automatically a replacement child. It's really what happens. And I think that is huge to point out, that it's the trauma, and you can be aware of it and, you know, kind of take care of it if you're aware of it. So I think that really, we got a lot of flack with that one too. So that's why I always in bold put, every child born after the death of another is not automatically a replacement child.
No, of course not, and isn't an Elvis child as well. So that's what is in our introduction of the book also is pinpointed. Hey, don't get too close to that. And of course, there is no one Elvis child. There's no one replacement child. They're all different.
Yes.
And that makes it so wonderful to connect with them in your practice, to connect with them in my WhatsApps, and connect with them in our symposium and in the book. So that's why, if I might say, Christina, in our book we focus on certain themes that all are part of suffering, possible suffering, being an Elvis child. And also we tried to came out with some, if you saw in the chapter you've been sent to, so how did I do it? Not to say that is the only way to go, of course not, my God, but it's a direction in which we can give acknowledgement and recognition to those who deserves it. And what I experienced in my practice for the last 2 years, that going on that road, I call it a kind of road, an adventure. I call it an adventure. It goes not that fast, but more fast than when you are focusing only on the behavior part of it. When people get in, I've suffered from depression, and I'm only talking and working about going on with the depression. It takes a long time. I can book some successes, but the source of it, the hidden source of it, the unconscious source of it, that's why we make progress. And
that's so true.
Well, I'm
it's
very happy to see all your work in the replacement forum. So I get used that as well, and that makes me happy and a more trustable professional for my clients.
That's true.
Yes. And you know what? In Holland, my dear friends, if I may say so, it's a kind of fever now, eh? It is, and that's why I told Christina before when I met her. And but to be honest to you, sometimes it's going too big for me as well. But
you're a very good communicator.
I give it a try, but being a good communicator attracts our people to come with you and to listen. which
true.
is perfect. But I'm just a normal human being, eh?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And
Judy, you had a question, I saw.
I'm sorry.
You wanted to.
I was just going to refer to, you said you set aside a whole day for parents, and I just wanted to say that that's part of your symposium coming up. Is that right?
No, they're two different things. They are welcome at the symposium as well. And as you can see now, we got now already 60 participants. We're going
great.
to 100, 150, yes. And when I see it, I think that there are, for the 60 now, I think there are 10 parents and about 20 professionals, therapists, and also Elvis children themselves. So it's all combined. It's going to be a very interesting symposium. And I'm glad that Christina will be there. That's such a professional. Well, there will be a success, eh?
Well, thank you. Thank you. Can people actually participate online? Can people who see you? No, not only. But will that be made available? Will you
Yes, of
record
course.
the symposium? And then maybe we can share that as well.
Absolutely,
that would be wonderful. Yes.
Is it in English? Would it be in English?
In part.
Partly. Okay.
Partly.
I'm going to have to learn. Judy and I are going to have to take some different languages.
Yeah. Now, Christina, we chose for the hybride version also the online version, but not the direct live online.
No.
Because it brings me to a nervous breakdown.
Okay.
Also technical things that will happen. We do it of a very simple way with people who help me, that people get the possibility to look at that symposium in their own time during a week.
I think that's terrific. That's
Yes.
really wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you. How did you get to the topic of Elvis children? How did it catch you?
I see you smiling, Christina. You know, you know what? Halfway, and perhaps Judy and Rita will be surprised by that or not. Halfway writing the book, I got a kind of moment that in a split second I realized I'm an Elvis child for myself. So this is. And you go, why didn't you see the people? Why aren't you affected on that? But I still don't know why it was at that very moment. I'm the oldest one, and my parents waited for 7 years for me to come. They prayed, and I'm pretty sure, although my brother is a bit angry, not a bit angry, he's disturbed, that I asked him, do you think our mother had come some miscarriage, and which she never ever talked about. But I'm pretty sure this happened. This is an inner knowing.
And it's late in life that you came to that. Isn't that interesting? You discovered it kind of in your practice. Suddenly you had clients like that.
And this crazy thing is I'm working already as a psychotherapist for 40 years. And I also made genograms. You know what I mean by genograms, eh? But I
family tree.
Yeah. But
it doesn't surprise me. This doesn't surprise me, because that's exactly what happened when I was writing my book, that I realized what this was.
Yeah.
And that it affected me. So it's just it's not surprising to me.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Judy. Make me feel more comfortable. But it's a crazy thing that when you started, when it was 40 years ago, I started when I was 23, and now I'm 73, getting to 74 in 2 weeks. That this realization all at once happened with one client in my practice. His name is Paul. And well, we make this description also in the book about that moment. I make a genogram with him, and then we saw a difference between 4 years between the children. And then I asked him, oh, please, can you
explain that?
Yes, can you? I said, no, I don't know. So be careful, please. Don't hesitate. But if there's a good moment, he lived with his parents, 23 years old, suffering a lot of things. If possible, can we have a talk about this question with your parents? Only when it's responsible to do it, eh? The circumstances. And then he came back 2 weeks later. He was sitting in my waiting room. He was crying while he was sitting there, he got a plastic bag with him. I said, okay, come on. And then he told me, I'm crying because the same day I've been with you, I've been talking to my parents. It was 11 o'clock in the night. Then my brothers were away. They said to me, okay, now I want to talk to you. You have a brother who was stillbirth. And they made a drawing of that child. He also got a name, but nobody knew about that in the whole family. It was a family secret. And his parents put that painting, the drawing, behind the cupboard in the sleeping room. And I put it away for that talk. And then in his black plastic bag, he had the drawing with him to show me.
So touching.
And this was the moment, my dear friends, this was the moment that I said, well, I want to do something now. And that was actually the very start of all my adventure in the replacement child area and Elvis area. So this was, and then half a year later, indeed, Judy, and half a year later, I realized, oh, I'm an Elvis child myself. And that leads to a very emotional moment, I must say. Yes.
Yeah. It's very, very touching.
I think it's quite a jolt when you all of a sudden realize, I mean, it was like lightning, really. It wasn't just like something that was like smooth and common. It was like I would wake up thinking about it after I realized.
The thing, if I may say, Christina, the thing is that then I came back, I have a video meeting with the publisher, and I have got someone who is doing the LinkedIn for me. I've got someone who does the website for me. We have a meeting, and there was a very intensive meeting. I came down, sitting with my wife, drinking a glass of wine, and I start crying. And my wife said, why are you starting crying? She said, I don't know. But I feel, I want to say something. Am I doing the good things, Mama, now?
Oh, that is...
I'm nearly 74, hey?
Yeah, true.
But you're still a child. And this was embarrassing to me, but also not embarrassing.
Right. It is beautiful. It's revealing. It's liberating. And I think you touched on two things. One, on the possibility to diagnose. To diagnose by looking at the birth order in a family. And that at the very beginning, because it is so overlooked.
Absolutely.
The replacement child condition. It's seeing that there are 4 years in between births, or there are 7 years before the first child, gives you a clue saying, hey, what went on? So that's the first thing. I think that's diagnostically extremely valuable. And the second one is considering you as a professional and you being nearly 74 and this taking place a year ago or a little more than a year ago. It's amazing how long it can take, how our defenses, how our loyalties, loyalties can keep us from looking or from feeling. And even you're saying, Mama, am I doing the right thing? Talking about this, publishing about it still shows we want to protect our parents, you know, and we are loyal, but it needs to come out into the open. And I think that's the crucial juncture, really.
But I also think it takes a while to digest it for ourselves, and I think that happens in waves.
Yes, that's.
What the interesting is now in what you told about, Christina, the wave, the fever wave in Holland now. This article that will be there tomorrow in a national newspaper, page wide. They also always ask me, Ard, can you give us the name of an Elvis child that we can talk with?
Yes.
This is an ethical thing for me, eh?
Yes.
Because when I ask something to be part of it, I realize that the answer will be yes, because it's difficult to say no. And then I'm very, very, very worried about, okay, And this happened also with this guy, which is in the newspaper tomorrow. He was very wide open in this interview. I have written it. I wrote. Sorry for my English.
Yes, I wrote. I have written.
I've written. No. I saw it, the article, and then I read it. That's the story. And I thought, okay, you're talking about your parents. Do you know? Do your parents know about this article? He said no, but I'm going to them tonight.
Okay.
So this is quite touchy, and also relational ethical. I feel a responsibility in that. That I'm glad that he will help us to open in that. He's a teacher on a very big secondary school. He's a favorite teacher of 32 years old. What will happen in that school?
Right.
Seeing his photo, his picture in this newspaper.
Yeah.
And so I feel also a bit responsible. That's what makes it so huge. I'm inclusive. When I ask this guy, I feel also responsible for what happened afterwards with him. And this is a thing which cost me a lot of energy.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you said the word inclusive, and I think we are inclusive at the Replacement Child Forum, this global website, no advertising, and it's for free, and it has a lot of resources for people, professionals, or for Elvis children or replacement children themselves. And we've had so many letters and blog entries, I think, of those who were affected, replacement children, substitute children, subsequent children, Elvis children, saying what has happened to them. And I think that there's a desire to be seen.
There's
a desire to be recognized.
Yeah. And I was also going to say, feel free to use our forum in any way that you think would help, to educate people, as you're saying, or I mean, you now have 3 replacement children here that will talk to anybody.
Anytime.
Right.
So,
use us the way it will be helpful. I just want
yes. I talked for also with this 2 of the blogs of the letters we are publishing as well. Replacement Forum is also, and that at the end of the book where we have put 6 or 7 stories of people, letters of them, and 2 of them are directly translated from the forum, including where it's from.
Yes. And you will make your own Replacement Child Forum website in Holland too, which
tomorrow
I think is great, because it needs to be tomorrow. It will be launched. It's fantastic. I think we are joining efforts, and we are very, very happy that you are with so much energy and so much knowledge and experience, and also your own personal involvement and story contributing to something that is now basically 60 years since the famous article by Albert and Barbara Kane. We are in a body of research of about 60 years, and I think it's just fantastic that we can have you and have your book on the Replacement Child Forum website as well, and maybe we can offer a seminar together. I think
wonderful.
This is just the beginning of a big adventure. I told you that Judy and Rita, we also contacted in South Africa a very huge, a very big, strong woman who is she's a doctor in psychology, and she urgently, she's actually an Elvis Child for that herself. She urgently wants to go on, and I'm going to South Africa in February, and there is already planned 4 or 6 seminars there.
Wow.
About the replacement children in South Africa, actually in Port Elizabeth.
Yes, fantastic. I kind of dream of groups, and I know that there's already one self-help group in Germany. I think there's another one in the Baltic Republics. I dream of groups out in countries being constituted, discussing this amongst themselves with professionals, looking to us for guidance and sharing. I have one more question, Ard. I can't hold back.
She looks a bit naughty now, eh?
I wonder, what do you think is the most important therapeutic intervention that you have had in your practice with an Elvis child, with a replacement child? What did you think was the most important healing intervention that you remember?
Well, this is a very difficult question, because I have to focus now on one. But I'll give it a try, Christina. I think I try to give some words to it. This is on different ways. There's no one method, but different ways to make contact from the Elvis child with the past brother or sister. This is not necessary that it would be a method, but it's for me in the last year. I've got unbelievable moments where I also cried for myself. My tears went down in what's happening. And then I think, without being that spiritual, I think that a lot happens. And this is about healing. This is getting your own individuation, starting from that you will be not separated from that, but there's a diversity. And the permittance of the past child to do that.
To go into your own life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is so intensive.
Yeah.
And but not to say I'm hating protocols, not to say that is also the first or second session. This is nonsense.
No, it takes a while. It takes a while to recognize, first of all.
Sometimes this happens in the second session, and sometimes it never happens.
That's true.
That's the adventure of therapy.
Yeah. I'm reminded by what you say of the cover, Judy, of your book, where you are, seen next to your sister who died in the crash, and you have a similar. Do you have your book there, Ard, on Judy? Because
no, I haven't.
No, you don't.
Sorry.
Okay, because it's it's the presence of the absent. Right. Yeah, it's the presence of the absent.
I know. I've got it book, Judy. Eh? I've got it in.
Yeah, and you have a very
very close. Yeah.
Yeah. You have a cover that also reminds everybody of that presence, of that kind of phantom or spiritual presence of the absent sibling. And it's getting the permission, and it's also letting go.
Letting go. Yeah.
And Rita, you had a scene in your book too with one of the cases where a replacement child is hearing the true name that she was giving. That was a story in your book that's just absolutely touching.
There's so many layers of it because it's such a variety. Replacement children come from all parts of the world and all cultures, all colors, all different circumstances. So it's kind of like finding a common ground and going from there.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. There's something general about being born into grief and growing up with expectations one can't fulfill, or with an absence that's always ever present and felt. And then it's the individual. It's each person and each soul, and finding a way back into life.
Interesting. I saw this today. I saw the layout of the book and the inside, and that put the cover in every new chapter. They put it halfway the page.
Oh yeah.
In black and white.
Okay.
So it's nice. Every new chapter it comes back, and I'm very glad with that, because this is exactly what you're telling about. It's the main thing.
I remember when it happened for me, since I'm also a replacement child, that I was in a seminar in my training, and we had a fairy tale enactment. There is a fairy tale which tells the story of a missing brother. It's called Little Brother, Little Sister, or The Enchanted Stag. And we played that. And it was a numinous, very transforming experience playing this fairy tale and feeling the absent or enchanted brother and feeling how bewitched one can feel in that state. And then in that night, I dreamt that I was crossing a river across some beautiful golden stones, and I heard my brother saying to me, I let you go into your life.
Yeah.
And I mean, this happened, I think, about nearly 30 years ago.
It's really
Mhm.
powerful.
And it's very powerful.
Powerful.
It's as present
It
today.
really
And
is.
I love his presence. I kind of think that when I die, he will be there to greet me.
Oh, yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, that's okay. But that he let me go and live my own life, and that I hadn't no longer sort of the implicit
Or
role to make up for him.
responsibility or something.
Yeah, that's, I think, and I felt that was very often needed in the therapy or analysis with.
May I
with,
add something to that thing
Yes.
about out of the contextual approach? In this contextual approach, it says, this is one of the basic things, that children, it's life existential that children give to their parents
Mhm.
based on loyalty, but also based, is needed for their self-validation to get so far, to give, and that parents can receive what they've been giving, and that on that way their self-validation can develop.
Okay.
Now, this is always the same. Now with these children,
Mhm.
unconsciously, they want to give something that can't be received or can't be given.
Mhm.
And this is
It's an impossible task.
that's why they got a lot of burnouts and suffering, and I'm empty. Because it is an impossible thing to do, although existentially it's a need to do. So to figure this out, to divide it, that is, what is the healthy part that you can give to your parents, and what is the for you and for your parents unhealthy part, although it's unconscious. So
I'm wondering with all of the, what you're saying, when you, I don't know if either one of you have in your practice younger children, and wondering if, there are signs in a younger child that this is something that's affecting their life. And, that digging deeper, as you say, into birth order and, like if there's 4 years between them and their sibling. I'm just wondering if you've seen this, that there's.
I saw it last week, because an 11 years old girl that still was sleeping in her parents' sleeping room next to her mother. She wasn't, and I won't say, and this actually was an Elvis Child. I won't say that is when you're sleeping on your parents' sleeping room day and night, this is the only thing to talk about. Of course not. But this is, Judy, one signal to me why she wants to be so present, why she wants to be so close, why. And so as parents, as daughters say, this is something that we don't like rationally. And also from the society, people say, you're 11 years old, you're sleeping in the sleeping room with your parents. So this reminds me of that. What are you asking, Judy?
And it may reflect the unconscious wish of the parent to not let go the child.
Of course.
Yeah, I was just going to say it may be for the parents.
Yes, true.
This child was sleeping next to her mother, not next to her father.
Yeah, true.
So,
I think I am not a therapist for children, but I have a few thoughts on that. One is, I think if a young child makes drawings of the cemetery or of a grave or of a dead child or of a scene that invokes death, I would watch drawings of children as of a very, very young age. And I would watch if they have a phantom friend, if they say, I have an invisible friend or an invisible, So I think that would be two things that would make me
absolutely,
look if that is in the background, if there was a missing sibling. And, frankly, if the child is upset or rebellious or depressed or any kind of behavior that would make you think the child is suffering, I would check with the family, or I would check with the background if there could be a reason of that kind behind. As a deeper source. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I mean, I think of a replacement child as always having a ghost in their life. Who has that? You know, it's like living in a haunted house.
Yeah.
Really.
So true.
Yeah. It's quite
And
right.
they pick it up.
Yeah.
They're closer to it. And that also can go, because I know both of you have grandchildren, Julie and Rita, that can go also from generation to generation. It does not have to, okay?
No.
But
No.
if there is something, we can be, I think, as adults, very sort of aware and observant and understanding. This is my main mantra, is understand what's going on.
Then you can come to recognition and acknowledgement.
Yeah, so true.
The daughter of Marlene, my wife, is a specialist in children drawings. And actually, within 3 weeks, she will give a workshop here in St. Uderode for a lot of people, how you can read those. Eh? This is we talked about it already before, but this is the drawings.
It will show what the child is concerned with, and it picks up things that don't have to do with its own life. It will pick up things from parents and grandparents.
Yeah,
it will.
And also grandparents, yes, of course.
Yeah. Because not only parents are concerned, it's also grandparents. Because grandparents can also recognize in a grandchild a sort of memory of a lost child, right? They can say, oh, I recognize this, or I see that, and it's coming again, and there's hope of something, you know.
Can you tell me the story what I said, which I got a half a year ago about intergenerational challenges? I was with a couple which I visit once a year. Just the day that their daughter was passed by an accident in traffic, and but they had a younger brother. Now, to go on, 20 years later, this younger brother is being a father, and of course, I would say, of course, why? Of course, he mentioned his daughter, the second name, the same name as his past sister.
Yeah.
Okay, so far so good. Yeah, but now the grandparents was very proud. Say, oh, Art, I want to tell you, we take 2 days off because then we will parenting that grandchild. And you know what? Now at last, in a bit, we have our daughter back. Back. And I was really thrilled, and I think, oh my. And that was just for the coffee visit, eh? So I although Marlene always tells me, well, your face is more talking than your words. So but this is
the reality. Yes.
Yes, I wouldn't say that this will be a disaster. Of course, no, it can be very weird. But this is a potential danger.
Be conscious, become conscious. Yes.
So yes, I think I'm gonna visit them again. Then drink a glass of wine, eh?
Right.
Big one.
South African red wine.
Ah, good.
Well, you know, in Judy's second book, it's almost like it follows the first book when you're talking about what happens in the next generation. And what a disaster it could be when things are secret and not spoken about.
Right.
You know, I thought that really is a great demonstration.
Yeah.
There's suffering that you might not realize.
Yeah.
I think that also the secrets. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, and that's a big thing, that you can't talk about it, or you can't talk honestly about it, and it's hidden.
I mean, I called it, I think, the trauma of silence in your family.
Yeah, it is.
That's beautiful word. Thank you for. Oh, that's a beautiful. Now I learned something more. The trauma of silence. Yeah. In our book, we have got a chapter about family secrets.
Yeah.
This would be a better title for that chapter. Thank you, Judy.
That's a great title.
It's too
Somebody
late.
needs to write a book quickly and use it.
I wish I could come to your symposium.
Yeah,
I think that would be wonderful.
would love to do that.
Yeah,
That
okay.
would be wonderful.
Well, you're invited, of course, but anyway, the last thing we can do is that you will be part of the online version, So,
That'd be
but
great.
no misunderstanding about that. You're also, of course, very welcome.
I'd
Very
love
nice.
to
That's
go.
really
Love
great.
to go.
My
I love
God.
Collins.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love
yes.
Laura.
Okay.
Do we have a word of hope for parents, for replacement children, for professionals? What's our word of hope to conclude this beautiful meeting with you, Ard, and to congratulate you on the upcoming launch of your
Yeah.
book, Elvis
What
Children?
an accomplishment.
Well, there is hope when you got the courage to look behind the behavior and try to start an adventure to look for the sources, the real relational ethical sources of the misunderstanding points why this behavior will go on. Sorry to say all those intensive the contextual words. We are very busy with the central word to acknowledge the injustice. Injustice is a typical, it's a typical relational ethical word, and when there is injustice and the injustice is denied or putting under the underground, I think this is a big hopeful thing, and so that the injustice can't be taken away,
right?
But by the acknowledgement, you will be. That is also what we scientifically research. That by acknowledging the injustice, slowly, this will be a very big result on the balance of life. Well, alles waar you will stick in that.
Yeah. There is life. There is
enough,
justice. This is beautiful. Yes. Thank you. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here with us. We
and
really
we look forward to
meeting
another
you.
time.
really appreciate it.
I thank you. I thank you. No, I feel privileged to meet you. For me, you were only names, and now you are a bit more than names. You have got a soul now, eh?
Yes,
and that's how people can meet when they are subjects.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I think
meeting
there's still
you as a
so much
subject.
to talk about,
Thank
and
you.
we have
Lovely
the
meeting
opportunity.
you.